7 Unanswered Questions.
Was Gladys's tree the hidden villain all along? And was Gladys actually the host for the tree because the tree was a parasite? And don't do drugs. Did Alex accidentally doom himself in the end? Get ready and buckle the fuck up. Weapons have been sitting in my watch list since it's dropped, and it's about time I do a 10 things about a modern horror movie. I had a blast watching this. The ambiguous elements sit just right. Hold on. Now I almost skipped doing this movie entirely just because there's a lot of buzz around it right now. One of my biggest pet peeves is that I don't want to regurgitate the same YouTube breakdowns, things you missed. But what changed my mind is my second rewatch, because I viewed the ending differently. It's pretty well known that parasites are a big thing in this film. It's something that latches onto you and steals your life one way or another, just like Gladys did to 17 children. But besides her, each character themselves has their own addiction that acts as a parasite, metaphorically. Justine's is alcoholism and inappropriate boundaries with her students. James is a hardcore addict and a thief. Paul is unethical in his career, to his lover, and sobriety. Alcoholism again. And by the way, I don't know how Paul could ever be unfaithful to this woman. Donna is a baddie. Archer is a veteran who seems to have untreated trauma, which triggers his hyper-motivation towards finding his son, who he never told that he loved.
Wanted to say it so many times, because I feel it all the time.
But Gladys is the biggest addiction of them all. Her addiction is self-explanatory, and she might be a symbol of addiction itself, but I'm not going to go into what Gladys stands for. But as big as the impact that Gladys made, I still think the tree is pulling the strings. Here's why. Hear me out. I believe the tree wanted a new fresh host and it picked Alex to be next in line. That would explain why Justine had a dream of Alex smiling in the classroom with the same makeup as Gladys, aka Nightmare Gladys. Perhaps that wasn't Gladys potentially giving herself away to the enemy. Perhaps it was a premonition that Justine had that Alex was going to become the same thing that Gladys is. Remember this because this is important. This tree itself is a parasite that lives inside Gladys. A unique point of view I haven't heard, and a detail I haven't seen discussed, is that when the kids tear Gladys apart, you can see that she is made up of literal tree roots inside, much like the parasites that we talked about earlier.
Who else can think of an example of a parasite?
As the parasitic cordyceps continue to feed off its body.
Perhaps that's why Gladys was so sick in the beginning, because this parasite is literally growing inside of her and draining her life energy. Thus, she needs new life energy, and that puts her plan in motion about the 17 missing kids. So Gladys had a choice, either let it consume her, or use its power to hunt other people down to drain their energy. So she stole the energy of the 17 kids to replenish her own. There's plenty of mystery surrounding this tree, but the more you watch the film, the more you realize how much the tree is actually involved. Any spell that is cast requires a twig from the tree and a blood sacrifice. This might be what leads to the parasite infection itself, is the blood sacrifice. We see Gladys meditating with the tree a lot, and if the tree was literally growing inside her, she could probably communicate with it on some level, considering it was the source of power to her spells. If the tree wanted Alex as a new host, it would explain why Alex was never under a spell, and was doomed to do Gladys's bidding for her. Besides the twigs, we see more elements of the tree and small details in the film. Not only is Gladys made up of tree roots, but in the nightmares she is always half planted. But there is also a presence of black goo that keeps recurring during these rituals. And when people are possessed or cast by the spells, they also vomit black goo. And when they die, they bleed out black goo. Which makes this little tree that we see in the beginning when Gladys arrives just a little bit more important. And just when you think Alex got his resolve, not happy ending because his parents never fully recovered, but resolve. His resolve still seems doomed. In order to save himself, he grabs a twig from the tree and gives his own blood sacrifice to defeat Gladys, which might have been the tree's plan all along. Either way, Gladys sealed her own fate when she told Alex this.
Are you watching? Ooh.
Because if this theory is true, Alex will be the new host, and the tree parasite will suck his life away just like it did hers. Gladys left behind not only the tree, but all of her occult tools. And now Alex is the only person it can be with now. And now he knows how to do the ritual, has performed the ritual, and given his own blood sacrifice. In my eyes, poor little Alex is fucked with a capital F, and the cycle will continue. But what do you think about this? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have a different idea? Let me know down in the comments.
Why so serious?
Is weapons connected to Barbarian? A neat little blink and you miss it extra piece of media that we get is Maybrook News. This is odd considering that the main context of the narration was that the police covered up the entire thing, even though they state that the feds are involved.
So what about the feds? They got nothing new?
And we'll get into the narration aspect a little bit later in the video. This official Maybrook News outlet website states that not only did the 17 kids go missing at 2:17 a.m., but if you scroll down to the bottom, you see an all too familiar section about an all too familiar story, Barbarian. It goes in detail about Tess and the events that transpired in the film. In the film Barbarian, there's a scene where Tess ignores multiple calls from a guy named Marcus, an unknown caller that we never see. Tess went to the Airbnb for a job interview. This could be the same Marcus as in Weapons. Hear me out. The story kind of makes sense, as Tess could have been a teacher at Maybrook School and recently moved and Justine took her place. That could be why he could have been calling her. It's stated in the film that Justine hasn't been there very long and has had a troubled past with her career.
She had a DUI 2 years ago. She was let go from her last school that she taught at for inappropriate behavior. She's a troubled person.
As odd as this sounds, the stars kind of align. Tess resigns from Maybrook, Justine takes her place. Marcus is the mutual connection. You mean to tell me 2 films by the same director who share an official news website called Maybrook News, and these can't be connected? A hiccup in this theory is Justin Long's character. That's the rebuttal I've gotten when I discuss this with other people. And I do get that he plays 2 different characters. But goddamn, don't ever watch the Child Play franchise or the Chucky TV series. Them motherfuckers play like 12 characters apiece. And nobody talks about that, but that's a tangent. But what do you think? Is it possible? Let me know.
Forgive me, Gladys. This is awkward, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had to do it. Number 5. What's with the Mickey Mouse t-shirt? Small one here, and no, I'm not talking about the fashion sense. But Mickey Mouse shirts are doing numbers in horror. Not only does it appear in this movie, it also appears in films like Friday the 13th Part 2, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, and what's also odd is that in the Weapons trailer, Mickey Mouse isn't on the t-shirt. Comparatively, it seems odd to me. Nothing to do with the story, just some odd things I noticed.
Number 6.
Rapid fire round.
What's wrong with my parents?
They're fucked. This teacher really watches these kids get bullied, huh? It's ironic how Paul walks past this exact sign. Speaking of signs, kids and their tablets, man. Look at this. This old witch lady goes meep meep through your fucking house and the child's like, What? I have a question about this sequencing. How did Alex only now notice Paul and James at his house? They showed up the afternoon before and was there all night. Wouldn't he notice that on his way to school? What's with the number 1948? It's everywhere in this film. Is Alex's good aunt a witch as well? And
Number 8.
did she play a bigger part than we realize? A thought that occurred to me upon my rewatch, and the more I sit with it now, the more it starts to click. Now, I'm not going to get into how old Gladys is, what she is. That's been beaten to death. You know what I'm saying? And there's a pretty common belief that Gladys isn't even blood related to the family because of her inconsistency with her stories. For instance,
I hear you, bud. I don't know her either. To be honest, I'm not sure your mom knows her that well.
All right, we haven't seen this woman in 15 years.
Oh, you know, I haven't seen you since you were a little teeny baby.
but then I thought, what if she actually is related? What if Gladys has been cycling in and out of this family for generations and only coming in when she needs to feed and then disappearing again until she needs more? In this perspective, it kind of ties up that loose end because we can't really place her historically because we know little to nothing about her. All we know is that she worked her way into this family and that she's desperate. Now they're fucked. And what's more, let's look at Alex. He never gets a real ending to his story. His parents are mentally destroyed, the family aspect is gone, and he's shipped off to go live with his other aunt, the one the movie frames as the good one.
He moved to another town and lives with a different aunt. I heard that one is a nice lady.
If that other aunt actually shares blood with Gladys, even distantly, That opens the door to something that the film never explains. The biggest one being the nightmare sequences. Justine, Archer, and even James hallucinating her in broad daylight, despite none of them actually meeting her beforehand. Unless Gladys isn't the one doing it. If the good aunt also practices some sort of witchcraft in this bloodline, or more restrained, protective version of it, a positive version, those visions suddenly make sense. Instead of Gladys invading their minds to scare them off, it could be the other aunt warning them, sending messages through dreams, hallucinations, premonitions, etc., just to alert the people that danger is coming. A quiet counterspell, as you will, to Gladys's fucked up witchery. And I do like this theory, but I like it ambiguous as it is in the film, because it's scarier that way, but I could see this working. Let me know what you think. Who's narrating the story? Is it one of the kids? One of the best elements about this film is the open interpretation of the story and how the story changes based upon which perspective the film's telling you. It really sells that unreliable narrator angle. Just a few examples is the cop scene with Paul and James, where Paul plays the character two different ways. From Paul's point of view,
but if I see you out here again, it's going to be a different story. Yes?
And James's point of view.
But if I see you out here again, it's going to be a different story. Yeah.
The scene in which Paul and Justine both see each other for the first time based on their point of view. As you can see, they both think they see each other first based on their own perspective. And other small details and scenes, like an extra word of dialogue, a word of dialogue removed. I do believe this is intentional because the narration is coming from the perspective of a child. So how much of the story can we believe is actually true versus what is up to the imagination versus what the narrator may have actually experienced? I'm sure this one has been talked about before, how we came to the conclusion that the narrator's name is Maddie. Not only do we know this on the soundtrack and the script, but in this 10 Things series, we don't break the fourth wall. The majorly interesting thing about this is that in some of the releases, actually state that Maddie is the name of the narrator via the subtitles in the film. I'm not sure what particular version or release this is, but I've had multiple people DM me in Discord about this very thing. Of course, this could be Madeline, one of the 17 kids, but we will never know for sure. But Maddie's story doesn't end here. I've saved the best for last. Now for number 10.
10.
Is this scene about Maddie, the narrator, and the aftermath of the events of the film? A strange occurrence that is also left unheard is possibly another chapter of this story, of possibly a different story of Gladys that we never even got told in the film. This clip here starts off with a security cam footage of a young child running out into the dark at night, identically to the ones of the 17 missing kids. What comes after that is a 17-minute clip of a child feeding soup to her tranced out parents, much like that of Alex in the film. But this girl is older, leading me to believe this lines up perfectly with the narrator says that she's telling the story about what happened 2 years ago.
It happened right here in my town 2 years ago.
This would put her about the right age now versus whatever happened 2 years ago. She parallels Alex in the sense that her parents never recovered and now has to take care of them indefinitely. But the video ends on a sinister gesture, stating that the story may not be over. So what do you think about this? How does this clip tie into the story? I think this has more than enough ammunition to be Maddie. Everything about Maddie's story here aligns, and I mean everything. So what is this mysterious chapter that we see here that we never saw in the film? Do you think it's Maddie? Let me know down in the comments. That's going to wrap this video up, guys. Thank you so much for taking part of your day to kick it with me. You know I appreciate it. I'll see you next week with the next film as we patiently await Scream 7. With that being said, if you have any theories about any horror film, drop it in the Discord. The Discord is absolutely free, just a hangout spot. You can come tell me about your day, how good it was, how bad it was. Talk about movies, music, film, comics, life. If you submit a theory that I really like and holds some weight, I will credit you in the video. I also have YouTube membership where you get early access to all my videos. You get custom emojis, loyalty badges, priority replied comments, and sometimes I do giveaways. It's very beneficial for you and me. Don't feel obligated, but it really helps me out. You'll be supporting me in this channel. With that being said, I will see you next week in the next one. I love you all. I appreciate you. Adios.